Will Donald Trump destroy the Kremlin just as an earthquake is destroying Kamchatka? This and other topics we will discuss right now. My name is Iryna Uzlova, and today with us Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Welcome back.
Good evening, Iryna.
A strong earthquake occurred in Russia near the coast of Kamchatka in the Far East. It was dubbed the most powerful in the region in over 70 years as the magnitude reached nearly 9. There is still a threat of tsunami. So, Michael, how do you think will Donald Trump's ultimatum become a real earthquake for Putin and his friends, China, India, Brazil, especially against the background of the fact that Donald Trump has decided to introduce 25% tariffs for India starting August 1st?
Very interesting and very deep question, because if we continue this comparison between earthquake and sanctions, so we could see that in Russia, nobody died from this earthquake, and very few people suffered from that. But in nearby countries, people suffered from that. And not only people, but also whales in Japan, who were influenced by tsunami. And the source of this tsunami was exactly this earthquake in Kamchatka, Russia. So the same probably we will have in the project of Mr. Trump project to impose sanctions or to impose tariffs, because he promised not tariffs on Russian Federation itself, because it is not enough. There is no big trade between Russian Federation and United States to put sanctions and tariffs. But President Trump promises and probably will impose the sanctions and tariffs, new tariffs on the countries who is the trade partners of Russian Federation. So its neighbors, on China, on India, and Brazil, probably Turkey. I don't know, because he never counts Turkey, but Turkey is on the third place as a trade partner in oil and gas, and not European Union, because European Union also was just till Sunday one of the biggest trade partners of Russian Federation, but the new agreement signed between United States and EU says that European Union during a year and a half, next year and a half, will cancel totally any trade in gas and oil with Russian Federation. So the most of consequences will fall on China, India, Brazil, and probably Turkey. And we could see that President Trump started from India. He started from India, yes. And he imposed the tariffs, and he also promised some penalties, whatever it means, I don't know. He did not explain what is the penalties against India for trading weapon and oil with Russian Federation. So I could say yes, it will be the earthquake, but earthquake will be not in Russia itself, but it will be starting from China, India, Brazil, and just afterwards in India and China, where we should decide, are we ready to suffer from this earthquake, or we will cut the trade relationship with Russian Federation to avoid sanctions, I mean.
India really is already under attack for its subsidization of the Kremlin's war, and China maybe will be next. The US Treasury Secretary has warned Beijing of potential tariffs of 100% for buying Russian oil. Scott Bessent said he warned Chinese officials that continued purchases of sanctioned Russian oil would result in high tariffs under a congressional bill, but was told thought that Beijing would defend its energy sovereignty, Reuters reports. But what is China really defending? Its sovereignty, its valley, or its real warlike intentions against Taiwan, the United States, and the entire civilized world, effectively using Russia as a cheap gas station and its proxy in starting wars?
In this case, I should be advocate of the evil, China, because really they try to save their sovereignty, and they try to save the oil and gas and the other commodities relationship with Russian Federation. They very depends on Russian Federation in this stuff, in oil, gas, and some other commodities. And northern China, they don't have any pipelines other than pipelines to Russian Federation. So they just can't receive any gas supply, but only from Russian Federation. And to build some potential new pipelines or something, it is project of decades, not of the years and not of the months. So probably Chinese, they are not ready to cut this trade, but the idea of President Trump and Scott Bessent is not about to force China to absolutely stop this trade, but anything else, to make this trade as a part of the big deal between US and China. So, for example, this is just an example, this is not the realistic stuff, that in the final agreement between United States and China, Russian Federation will be mentioned as a zone of exclusive interest of China, and Russia officially will be something like colony of China. But for exchange, United States will receive, for example, Taiwan and tariffs and the exchange rate of Renminbi, Chinese yuan, for example, towards dollar, etc., 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 which means the issue of oil trade between China and Russia will be not some issue itself, but the part of the deal. And another part of this deal will be the peace agreement between Russian Federation and Ukraine. So yes, you China, and you want to continue to buy oil and gas from Russian Federation. And we, United States, we're saying to you, yeah, we are ready to that, but in one condition, that you will stop the war. And you will force Russia to withdraw troops from Ukraine. In this case, we are ready for you trade with Russian Federation. So you have a choice, yeah. This does not mean when we put the sanctions and impose the sanctions and impose the tariffs, we don't say just stop the trade with Russia. Stop the war, and you can continue the trade.
Yes, but we see that Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, against all advices, wants only one thing in his life: continue this cruel war. And we see that Putin ignores all ultimatums by Donald Trump. Trump calls it a disgrace, but Kremlin, except spokesman Dmitry Peskov, still keep silence. Why?
So first, because this is the ultimatum from Donald Trump and not from President Xi. When we will see, then we will see the ultimatum from President Xi. So Mr. Putin couldn't state that, because Russia now depends on China in, let's say, almost on 100%. Also from Chinese money, which China pays for the commodities, and also from Chinese goods, which China supply, not only military goods, but also the civil goods. All the civil goods also supplied from China. All the cars, all the equipment, all the, I don't know, washing machine and frigidaires, they are Chinese frigidaires and Chinese TV sets, etc., etc. So Russia just can't exist without China, absolutely.
Yes.
But to continue this topic about the why Mr. Putin does not say directly anything for Mr. Trump, for President Trump. I believe that we are not watched this movie till the end. Now Russia has 9 days, 9 days of Mr. Trump ultimatum from today, I mean.
Yes.
And I believe that during these 9 days, we will see some new idea from President Putin. Why not? Because
What kind, for example, of idea that?
yeah. I will bring an example from very, very near past, our past, yeah, from May 2025. At the beginning of May 2025, the big European delegation arrived to Kiev. Head of this delegation, informal head, was President Macron, President of France, and with him arrived also Merz, Chancellor of Germany, and Starmer, the Prime Minister of UK, and Donald Tusk, Prime Minister of Poland. And these four musketeers, they joined President Zelensky, and together, these five guys, they called President Trump. And they agreed that starting from May 12th, they will impose the common sanctions of United States and European Union on Russian Federation if Putin does not stop a war immediately on May 12th. What did Putin? Putin did not wait till May 12th. On the night between May 10th and May 11th, he went to the live stream from Kremlin, and he said that for the next week, for the May 14th, he appointed the meeting between Ukrainian and Russian delegation in Istanbul as the peace process and peace talks. And President Trump, after he heard this news, he said to Ukrainian delegation to come to Istanbul, and he stopped all of his steps about sanctions. So yes, it was the good move for Russian Federation, I mean by President Putin. And he really spent more than 2 months from middle of May till today with these absolutely empty talks. And I don't remember who called that, or probably it was Mr. Rutte, the General Secretary of NATO, that he said this is the talks about talks, not the peace talks, but talks.
Yes, and toxic talks, toxic for a solution of Russian-Ukrainian war.
Exactly, yes. But now Mr. Putin could do some another step of this kind, let's say. What Mr. Trump wants. He wants from Putin to stop the war. Okay, Mr. Putin is not ready to stop a war. But he could say, let's say, we are going to ceasefire for 10 days, for 30 days, for 2 months. Or, as an alternative, I invite President Zelensky to direct talks, let's say in Belarus, in Minsk, on August 15th, for example. And what, in this case, President Trump should do? To impose sanctions, to impose tariffs, or to send Zelensky, to call Zelensky and say, yeah, you should go to the direct dialogue with Mr. Putin? That's a question. So I believe that the next move is Mr. Putin's move. If he doesn't do any move, so he will be in a very catastrophic situation, and also the Russian Federation itself.
If I were Trump, I would impose sanctions, because everybody in this world can understand that Vladimir Putin lies always, and he will use this, for example, 10 days ceasefire to refresh his soldiers, his army, and prolong this war with new power.
And you were right if you were Mr. Trump, if you were President Trump. And probably, let's say probably, not 100%, but probably that is what Mr. Trump will do, really. This is also, we could hear by his mood and by his last speeches about Putin that he is very angry. and that he is furious about Putin and furious about Russian Federation, and every day he receives the new reactions from Russian Federation. You mentioned the reaction of just press secretary,
Yes,
of
Peskov. Yes,
spokesperson.
Peskov said that they fix all Trump's statement, and Kremlin spokesman claims that Russia is not afraid of sanctions because they have long been accustomed to living under sanctions pressure, and that's all.
Yeah, but the more important and more dangerous for Russia was the reactions by former President Dmitry Anatolievich Medvedev,
Yes.
who is now the deputy of President Putin, deputy in Security Council and deputy in the Weapon Commission of Russian Federation. So he's right-hand man, let's say, or deputy or second most powerful guy in Russian Federation now, Dmitry Anatolievich Medvedev. I mean, at least from the formal position, not the real force. I don't know the real power. I mean the formal position, yeah. And this reaction was for the ultimatum that we will start the war against United States. That
Yes,
was the
like
reaction of
Medvedev.
Mr. Medvedev. And last time, when former President Medvedev reacted to some speeches of Trump, it was just a month ago. So President Trump also gave an answer, gave a very energy answer to Mr. Medvedev. So now I believe he also know that he has this threat of war from Medvedev. And by the way, Elon Musk, the former friend of President Trump, also reacted to this post by Medvedev. So obviously, Trump, inside of this situation, inside of all of these reactions on reactions on reactions on reactions, and he is more and more furious on this situation. So I believe that he anyway will impose the sanctions, and he could say, for example, yeah, I impose the sanctions, but if you, Mr. President Putin, you will stop the war, I will withdraw the sanctions immediately, like he did with many, many, many countries.
You know that post of Dmitry Medvedev today mentioned the chief of Ukrainian President Office, Andriy Yermak, talking to journalists from the New York Post, one of the most important media to Donald Trump, most respected media by Donald Trump, yes. And Yermak told that maybe Medvedev was drunk when he wrote that post, but in this interview, Yermak said that all efforts by Donald Trump today against Russian Federation, his new statements are very strong and useful in this case, that sanctions should work in full power. But, it's very symbolistic that New York Post, it's media which Donald Trump reads, and Yermak makes such statements to this media. How important are such influences? How do you can assess?
I can't say exactly how President Trump received the information. We know that the only newspaper he reads is the New York Post, really. This is the one of the conglomerate of Rupert Murdoch press outlets, together the Fox News and another news outlets. But I believe that now, after the dialogue between Medvedev and Trump on the previous round of their dialogue, I believe that in each monitoring which President Trump got from from his staff, he absolutely got all the new posts of Mr. Medvedev. So this is, yes, important that New York Post published that, but also without New York Post, in this case, especially this case about Medvedev, I believe that they pay an attention in the White House on Mr. Medvedev. We understood that Medvedev is the voice of President Putin. This is not somebody who is just a stupid drunk guy, but the voice of President Putin.
Yes, and we know that maybe he drinks every day, but Medvedev is one of the official person in the Russian Federation. And such steps work against Kremlin, really? and such statements.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. But you could pay attention that nobody stopped Medvedev. So from
Yes.
previous experience, just during this summer, I don't remember the dates now, but during this summer, we had three incidents with different posts by Medvedev. In one case,
You
we
mentioned.
got an answer from Mark Rutte, the General Secretary of NATO. In another case, they got the reactions from Senator Graham and Lindsey Graham. And in the third case, they got the reactions from Trump himself. So obviously, Mr. Medvedev now in the center of the White House attention and Western world attention. And nobody in Kremlin could say to Mr. Medvedev to stop, which means, oh, they are agree with Mr. Medvedev, and this is the part of their policy, the official international policy, because he is better spokesman than, for example, Mr. Lavrov, who is from formal point of view, he is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, but nobody knows what Mr. Lavrov says now. Nobody cares about that, and nobody give an answer to Mr. Lavrov. But everybody gave an answer to Mr. Medvedev. And nobody in Kremlin stopped him. That means that we are agree. This is a part of the policy. This is not a game. This is the policy itself.
Yes, I agree with you. It's not only such some stupid posts by Medvedev, really, but Lavrov, Russian foreign minister about whom you mentioned, he really cannot come down with his official sentences and messages too. 2 days ago, Lavrov told that we have a lot of things to do because the main one, of course, is to defeat the enemy. For the first time in history, Russia is fighting alone against the entire West. In the First World War, in the Second World War, we had allies. Now we have no allies on the battlefield. Therefore, we must rely on ourselves. We must not allow any weakness or slackness, Lavrov said. And again, he told that Kremlin insists on preserving its security. No involvement of Ukraine in NATO, no expansion of NATO at all. It has already expanded right up to our borders, despite all the promises and documents that were concluded, he added. So we see that all Russian narratives are here by Lavrov too, without any changing.
Yeah, we insist on the same messages and same conditions for the peace agreement, and this is absolutely useless conditions because Ukraine is a sovereign nation, and Ukraine has the NATO and constitution, and Ukraine will make the choice. Yeah, nobody could limit the choice of Ukrainian nation about going to NATO, except of NATO itself. NATO could not accept the membership of Ukraine, but if 32 countries of NATO accepts Ukraine, so Ukraine will be the part of NATO. But what is interesting that on the same day, then Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russian Federation, Mr. Lavrov, claimed that Russia does not have any allies on the battlefield. On the same day, Mr. Peskov, spokesman of President Putin, said we have allies in this war. And he mentioned these allies, North Korea, Iran, and China. Yeah, on the same day.
Yes, yes.
So that is interesting that they are not agree inside the Kremlin. But by the way, this is the funny fact, rather. Mr. What is his name? The head of Russian delegation, the writer and historian, the head of Russian delegation in Istanbul.
Medinsky. Yes,
Medinsky. Mr.
Vladimir.
Medinsky, immediately after the last third round of negotiation, on his press conference, he said that, we are not in the worst situation in Russian history now. Yeah, we have sanctions, etc., but 100 years ago, after the Great October Revolution, the young Soviet Russia had more sanctions, and nobody recognized Soviet Russia. And somehow, without this recognition, without international trade, we went, and without allies, we went World War II. That's funny to hear it from this tradition, who never heard about Lend-Lease, who never heard about the caravans from Northern Sea, from UK to Russian Federation to Arkhangelsk, who never heard about the allies of Normandy, etc., etc. So, in historical facts, they are not so educated, these guys from Kremlin.
Michael, so we see that we should now believe in our forces but work with Trump's administration for nearest future too.
Yes, absolutely. We could wait, just we have only 9 days. And my only question is he will put the sanctions on August 8th, which is Friday, or on August 11th, which is Monday.
Monday.
Because usually all the critical steps President Trump makes on Monday, because he knows that the press will have a full week to discuss that. So he likes the show, and show not only must go on, but show should start on Monday. So I
But
believe in August 11th.
but Trump bombed Iran on Friday night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
That
maybe.
was the that was a little bit different. This was not the political step. It was the military step, which is depends on weather, for example. For example, on the weather, you
Maybe.
should have the ideal weather for the attack. And when you have a choice in politics, you have a choice. Then this is your initiative. You could do that any day. But August 8th, Friday, which is exactly the day 10 from the
Yeah.
Mr. Trump memorandum. It is also good because it is 8-8. It could be good
Symbolic.
brand 8-8. Yeah.
Michael, thank you very much for this great conversation and your unique thoughts and opinion. See you next week. Take care, please. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rena. Bye.
Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Iryna Uzlova. Guys, thank you for joining us, for watching us. Leave your comments and subscribe to our YouTube channels, Michael Sheitelman and War and Politics 24. See you next week.